Hello everyone, welcome back to Project Drona, and we are back. We at the channel are so glad that you guys admired these videos, asked for many more via mails and comments. So here we are, once again. This time we promise to upload at least one video every week on banking, finance, economics. Today we are going to revisit an old classic, the Indian financial system. चलिए तो शुरू करते हैं with the components of an economy. Last time we referred to these components as players. This time we are calling them the elements. Same thing. The first one is the individual, aap, main, and everybody else. Then there are the households, every collective entity that represents itself as one economic unit. The firms, आप और मैं जहां उठकर रोज सुबह काम करने जाते हैं. The places we go to work every day. Then there is the thing that makes the world go round. Money, aka wealth. Let's see कि इन elements में किस तरह के interactions होते हैं. Let's look at the interactions within these elements in closer detail. Between the households and the firms, the first interaction is that the households supply labor to the firms. You, me, we all go to some place to deliver work, be it physical or mental, whatever kind. And in return of this, the firms provide households with money. It is human nature that we tend to save for the rainy days. अगर आप आदि मानव, early man, for those who don't have such good Hindi, तो अगर आप आदि मानव के टाइम को भी स्टडी करें, तो he used to accumulate food and fruit in summers so that he could consume them in the winters. Now that we have one common unit of purchase called currency or money, the households tend to accumulate this money over time. Now the important question arises, what to do with this accumulated wealth? One reason is that this wealth sitting at home is not doing us much good, except maybe that we'll be able to use it on a future date if needed. Another huge disadvantage of letting money sit there is that over the time its value will decrease. Let me explain this. With time, a thing that costs 100 rupees today may cost 110 rupees 2 years from now. Such is the effect of inflation. So if you left 100 rupees at your home for 2 years, they depreciated in value because that wheat you could buy for rupees 100 today will come for rupees 110 2 years from now. But you will still have rupees 100, which means you will need more money to buy the same amount of wheat. By wheat I mean atta. Hence, money must be allowed to grow. This is where a bank comes in. Banks are very crucial elements of an economy and represent its prosperity, stability, and complexity. So these households hand their money over to the bank. One, because it provides interest on the money deposited, which allows the money to grow. And two, because it is safer in the bank. Let us have a look at the firms simultaneously. These firms have needs to grow and expand, to increase their market share and sales, to increase their revenues. Why? To survive. And because things, raw materials, are going to get costly for them as well. To meet these needs, they also need cash. And where are they going to get this cash from? Exactly. They approach the bank and obtain this cash in the form of a loan. Let us have a look at this model from a bank's perspective. So households approach them for depositing their savings with them. In return for keeping their cash, the banks promise them an interest, let's say at the rate of 4%. This cash is then given to the industries in the form of loans, which is then repaid back by the industries with interest, say at the rate of 10%. So let's say that a bank gave 100 rupees to the industries at 10% per annum with simple interest and received rupees 110 at the end of a year. Simultaneously, they had taken rupees 100 from the depositors and paid them rupees 104 at the end of 1 year, which includes the interest at 4% per annum. So we see that the bank made rupees 6 for every 100 rupees it lent to the borrowers. बैंक ने 100 रुपए बोरोवर से लिए और वही 100 रुपए इंडस्ट्रीज को लेंड कर दिए. उन्हें 10 रुपए का इंटरेस्ट मिला इंडस्ट्रीज से और इसमें से उन्होंने 4 रुपए का इंटरेस्ट डिपॉजिटर को वापस कर दिया. एंड देयर ओन अर्निंग वाज 6 rupees. And ideally this difference of interest that the bank received from the industries and the one paid to the depositors is what we call interest income of a bank. इस कॉन्सेप्ट को हम आगे चल के थोड़ा और एक्सप्लोर करेंगे इन अदर वीडियोज. सो इस मॉडल को अच्छे से समझ लीजिए बिकॉज एज वी गो डीपर वी विल बी एडिंग मोर एलिमेंट्स टू दिस मॉडल टू अंडरस्टैंड हाउ एन इकोनॉमी वर्क्स. फॉर नाउ you must have understood that in any economy, banks act as agents, connecting people who have surplus funds with the people who have a deficit of funds. There are times when you have a deficit of funds, like you want to buy a 7 lakh rupee car and have savings of rupees 2 lakhs only. This is when you tap into the banks for availing their excess funds. चलिए तो अब इंडियन फाइनेंशियल सिस्टम पर आते हैं. The Indian financial system is broadly regulated by 3 statutory bodies. They are 1. The Reserve Bank of India. It looks after the banking sector and the money markets. It has many other functions in an economy which we shall discuss in detail in other videos. Then there is SEBI, the Securities and Exchange Board of India. This is the capital markets watchdog in India. And third, IRDA, the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority, which looks after the insurance business in India. And now, let's have a look at the functions of the Reserve Bank of India. Reserve Bank of India is the issuer of currency in India. The notes and coins are issued by RBI. Technically, notes are issued by RBI and the coins are minted by the Government of India. And RBI acts as an agent of coin distribution on behalf of the government. RBI is the maker of monetary policy in India. It decides how to control the flow of money so as to stimulate growth and curb inflation. For details, please watch the video explaining monetary and fiscal policy. Then, RBI is the manager of government's debt. Government makes borrowings to cover its expenses, as most of the time, its expenses exceed its revenue. So the Reserve Bank acts as a banker to the government and also manages its debt. RBI is also in charge of the financial stability of the country. It has been given sufficient power and tools to intervene and maintain the financial stability of the country through policies, through money markets, etc. It maintains different databases and create different models and simulations to assess the impact of any future financial shocks and ensure that the system can sustain them and not go into any recession. RBI is also in charge of the Financial Stability and Development Council, of which the Reserve Bank Governor is the ex officio chairman. This body looks extensively after the Financial Stability Initiative. RBI also generates half-yearly financial stability reports, FSRs. RBI acts as a facilitator of various interbank lending transactions. Banks are allowed to borrow from one another to maintain their statutory reserve requirements and for dealing with their other interbank clearing and dealing obligations. Also, if banks are unable to raise enough funds, RBI provides them with cash as a lender of last resort, so as to provide liquidity to the banks and maintain the stability of the financial system. आप जैसे कि जानते होंगे, if you are in banking, banks आपस में fund settle करते हैं through RTGS, NEFT, check clearings, and then there are treasury dealing interactions, and also banks need to maintain their statutory reserves. So in money markets and other places, banks have been allowed to lend to each other and borrow from each other. This helps them to maintain their requirements if at all the need arises. And trust me, it arises pretty frequently. It is the Reserve Bank's prerogative to oversee the payment and settlement systems within the country. The Payment and Settlement Systems Act 2007 gives it this authority. Payment and settlement systems currently established in our country are the point of sales machines, जिन पर आप अपना कार्ड स्वाइप करके शॉपिंग करते हैं. Then there are prepaid instruments like top-up cards, जिनमें कैश लोड किया जा सकता है. And you must have heard of e-wallets, mobile banking, net banking. Another thing to know is that the currency chests, they are also looked after by the Reserve Bank. In fact, cash held at the currency chest belongs to the Reserve Bank. RBI also looks after the most well-established payment and settlement system in the country, the clearing houses, including the new ECS, that is, the Electronic Clearing System. Real-time payment systems like RTGS and NEFT are also overseen by RBI. Then there are debit and credit cards. There are service providers like MasterCard, Visa, Amex, Discover, etc. Their oversight is done by the Reserve Bank of India. And nowadays, these payment gateways on e-commerce sites like CC Avenue also fall under the regulatory authority of RBI. Now let us have a quick look at the functions and responsibilities of SEBI. SEBI, as I said, is the capital markets watchdog of the country. Hence, all entities related to capital markets, the investment banks, asset management companies, stock exchanges, mutual funds, brokers, dealers, etc. are looked after by SEBI. All the processes are regulated by SEBI, like IPOs, sale and purchase of securities, etc. Other regulatory guidelines, offences like insider trading, etc. are looked into by SEBI. और अब देखते हैं IRDA के functions को. I know that it was left out the last time. IRDA looks after the insurance business in the country. Basically, insurance business regulation. The restrictions in the design of insurance policies by the insurers, looking out for the best interests of the customers, the commission structures and their genuineness, and the agents and their practices. All of this is looked after by IRDA. We shall be coming at these topics in even greater detail as we progress along. Since the model that is presented in the first half of this video is very crucial for many other lessons to come, I shall be separating it and creating another video on it, for the purpose of modularity. In the meanwhile, please like the videos if you enjoyed them and subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content. If you want to see a video or have a question in mind, drop it in comments and we'll answer it. We are also available on Facebook, Google+, WordPress, besides YouTube. Please like us and follow us there to keep in touch. Thanks a lot for now. Bye-bye.